Samskar is being done to welcome the soul into the embryo. On 7th month, a Samskar is being done to protect the unborn child. When the child is born, the Samskar is then called Namkaran Samskar to give an identity to the newborn. Then there are different Samskars, like Yagyu Parit Samskar to initiate into Brahmacharya. Then at the time of marriage ceremony, Vivaha Samskar is done. And then the person lives his or her life, and when the person lives up this much record, the anti-HT Samskar is being done. Anti-HT means the final religious function that is being done to say goodbye to this physical structure. We are told that the physical structure goes back to the elements, but the divine within continues its journey, either for our next birth or to achieve liberation. Our goal as human beings in this lifetime is to achieve liberation, and to do so we commence our worship. This beautiful song, this beautiful day. Om Pavitraha Pavitro Vaha Sarvavastam Vatubhya Yasmaret Pundarikaksham Savahya Yantara Suchi. We take one on the left arm and we perform Anganiyasa for the purification of the sense organs. We take the ring finger with the right hand and you touch it with the water with the right hand, different body. Ovangameyasestu Om Dasume Pranavastu Om Akshudume Chakchurastu Om Karanayorme Shudravastu Om Ahume Madavastu Om Advarume Ojavastu Om Arishtani Gangani Tanustanupe Sahasan. We will perform what is called Ishwar Pratama, offering thanks and gratitude to God for this gracious opportunity, offering thanks and gratitude for having blessed us to be a part of Viswanath's life, and for Viswanath to be a part of our life. And now that we say goodbye to him and he says goodbye to us, O Lord, may you lovingly open your wide arms to welcome him into your divine embrace, and may you bless him to the gift of liberation in this lifetime. Om Vishwani Deva Savitar Duditani Parasuva Yadbhadram Tanna Asuva Om Hiranya Garbha Samvartatagre Bhutasya Jataha Patireka Asitim Sadadhara Pithivindhyami Temam Kasmai Devaya Vishavidema Om Ya Atmada Baladaya Yasya Vishwapasate Prashisham Yasya Devaha Yasya Chaya Amitam Yasya Mriduhum Kasmai Devaya Vishavidema Om Yena Dhyauraha Prithivi Chadidam Yena Swastavitam Yena Nakaha Yo Antarikshera Jaso Vimanaha Kasmai Devaya Vishavidema Om Yapranato Nishyatu Mahitvaika Indra Jajagatu Bahuva Ya Isye Asya Vipala Chatushvara Kasmai Devaya Vishavidema Om Prajapate Natvadethananyo Vishwajatani Parita Bahuva Yakamaste Jahomastano Astu Vayum Shama Patayo Raina विश्वदेवाय जमानश्च सीदता ॐ बुद्धबुद्धि स्वप्ने प्रतिजागृहीतमिष्टापूर्ते संस्कृते कामयञ्च अस्मिन् सदस्ये अभिनवसिनो विश्वदेवाय जमानश्च सीदता Om Ayam Chadidama Atma Jatavesene Aiswavardhasva Chetavardhaya Chasmatmajaya Vishnudir Brahmavarchasena Annadena Samedhaya Swaha Idam Abhinaye Jatavese Idanna Om Samedhya Bindu Vasya Kavitir Gurudhayata अस्मभ्यः ॐ सुस्मिताय सुचिषितं ब्रह्मभूतम अग्नये जातवेदसे स्वाहा इदमग्नये जातवेदसे इदन्नाम ॐ तन्त्वा समिधियं वियोगितेन वर्धयामसि बृहज्जोचाविष्टाय स्वाहा Om Ayam Chadidama Atma Jatavesene Aiswavardhasva Chetavardhaya Chasmatmajaya Vishnudir Annadena Samedhaya Swaha Idam Abhinaye Jatavese Idannam Om Ayam Chadidama Atma Jatavesene Aiswavardhasva Chetavardhaya Chasmatmajaya Vishnudir Brahmavarchasena Annadena Samedhaya Swaha Idam Abhinaye Jatavese Idannam Om Ayam Chadidama Atma Jatavesene Aiswavardhasva Chetavardhaya Chasmatmajaya Vishnudir Brahmavarchasena Annadena Samedhaya Swaha Idam Abhinaye Jatavese Idannam Om Ayam Chadidama Atma Jatavesene Aiswavardhasva Chetavardhaya Chasmatmajaya Vishnudir Brahmavarchasena Annadena Samedhaya Swaha Idam Abhinaye Jatavese Idannam Om Adite Animanyasva Om Animate Animanyasva Om Saraswate Animanyasva Om Deva Samhita Vasuryakyam Vasuryakyam Patimbadaya Divyo Gandharva Ketanapuradu Vajaspati Vajasvaradu Om Om Agnaye Swaha. Om Antarishaye Namaha Swaha. Om Vayave Swaha. Om Dive Swaha. Om Suryaya Swaha. Om Vidya Swaha. Om Chandraya Swaha. Om Nakshatrika Swaha. Om Aditya Swaha. Om Varunaya Swaha. Om Nabhyaya Swaha. Om Bhutaya Swaha. Om Vajaya Swaha. Om Pranaya Swaha. Om Pranaya Swaha. Om Chakshuse Swaha. Om Chakshuse Swaha. Om Sudraya Swaha. Om Sudraya Swaha. Om Lovibhya Swaha. Om Lovibhya Swaha. Om Tvache Swaha. Om Tvache Swaha. Om Lohitaya Swaha. Om Lohitaya Swaha. Om Medubhya Swaha. Om Medubhya Swaha. Om Manasibhya Swaha. Om Manasibhya Swaha. Om Sthanave Swaha. Usnayave Swaha. Om Astibhya Swaha. Om Astibhya Swaha. Om Ajibhya Swaha. Om Ajibhya Swaha. Om Retase Swaha. Om Ayave Swaha. Om Ayasaya Swaha. Om Prayasaya Swaha. Om Samsaya Swaha. Om Vyasaya Swaha. Om Bhasaya Swaha. Om Shoche Swaha. Om Shojate Swaha. Om Shojamanaya Swaha. Om Shokaya Swaha. Om Taptase Swaha. Om Taptase Swaha. Om Tapyamanaya Swaha. Om Tapyaya Swaha. Om Dharmarajaya Swaha. Om Nishritye Swaha. Om Praitye Swaha. Om Prayaschitya Swaha. Om Bhishadaya Swaha. Om Yamaya Swaha. Om Antakaya Swaha. Om Ujjave Swaha. Om Brahmane Namah Swaha.
I ask all of you to please clasp your hands and close your eyes as we say this one collective prayer in the name of the beloved Viswanath ji, a father, a son, a husband, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, and a divine aspect of God having a human experience. We say to you, O Lord Shiva, may you open your arms wide and with a heart full of love and compassion, and accept him back to your kingdom. If you know this mantra, please chant it with me. Om Trayambakam Yajamahi Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarkameva Vandana Mrityurmoksheyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahi Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarkameva Vandana Mrityurmoksheyamamritat. Final time together. Om Trayambakam Yajamahi Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarkameva Vandana Mrityurmoksheyamamritat. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. Prem se bole Shri Krishna Bhagwan ki Jai.
The prayer that we just chanted is say, O Lord Shiva, the one that possessor of the eyes that sees and recognizes that in the past, sees and recognizes everything in the present. And O Lord Shiva, thy eyes also see and recognizes everything in the future. May you bless us all, O Lord, that we may enjoy every moment that is given to us in this world. And when the time comes for us to take this mortal void, O Father, may we not suffer, and may we not cause others to suffer, O Lord. Just how a fully right man trooper is effortlessly severed from the Spirit of Father, may that process be automatic and painless, no suffering, O Lord. And at the same time, may we achieve moksha and liberation in this lifetime. Let the highest of the heavenly Lord be upon us. So today, as we perform this Samskar on behalf of Viswanath ji, we thank you, O Lord, for giving him the opportunity to live his life to his fullest, to the best of his ability. And we are grateful for the contribution that he has made to the world. And even though he has left us and gone to the great beyond, his children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and wife will continue his legacy. May they all be blessed to walk into his footsteps, O Lord Shiva. May you give him the highest good for peaceful eternity. And may you bless all the members of his family to continue to walk in his footsteps. And to all of you who have come to participate in this mission, may the limitless blessings of God be upon all of us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
So at this time, we'll hand it over to the family members to offer their love to Viswanath. Thank you all for taking the time to be here.
Just before we transition from Puja, this was the audio Samaj. This was the audio Samaj rights and Puja, and Pratima can say something more about that. But part of it was for Pratima, that part of the audio Samaj Puja was a bond and the Mehta charity in honor of my dad. I spoke to my mom. My mom said that it would be nice to make a contribution to an organization that serves the elderly, senior citizens. And so she will make a donation to India, an organization that serves South Asian elderly years.
So we'll now transition. We'll ask the family to get up and go over
My grandfather, Viswanath Bulusu, was born in Greenwood, a town in Doobal, India, in February 1931. He went to Rishi Valley, a boarding school in Andhra Pradesh, where his father sent him and two of his younger siblings in part because he thought he would be safe during World War II when the unrest in India movement. He went to Loyola College and then followed two of his older brothers to Indian Engineering College in Madras. But he was the black sheep, unlike his father and his brothers, who were electrical engineers and went to civil engineering, as he told us proudly many times. He started his career at Dunkerley, a drilling company, and then worked at Caltex, a petroleum company where he designed staff quarters and gas stations, and then worked for a number of companies again. He married my grandmother, Saraswati, when he was 21 in 1952. They gave birth to my mother in 1968, and soon after decided to move to England because it was so difficult to find jobs in India. A few years later, he worked at an Italian company in Saudi Arabia for 4 years, then moved back and spent the rest of his career examining construction sites and doing other engineering work for the UK government. He wrote in his diary every single day of his life since he came to England. He loved the cinema, motorcycling, watching cricket, and above all, even when he was young, puzzles, Sudoku, jumble. We learned in the last few days from family in India that he used to play the flute, which was a great surprise to all of us, and loved sketching, and the whole family remembers the famous Bullet 350 motorcycle in the road. He taught me how to brush my teeth, one tooth at a time. He read me a book of Agatha Christie novels and taught us math and explained cricket. He told endless stories and said how he pointed and massaged his forehead and even carried dramatic tales from his life. He often told the same stories one generation to the other, and his 9 siblings, his father, and his employers all became mythic figures to me. When I was very young, before anyone else in the house had woken up, he'd come to my bed and lie down with me. And tell me stories that I thought very loved. Forgive the overlap. I was listening to say some of the same stuff. When I was a boy, Nanda was my favorite of my many grandparents. I've had the amazing fortune of being raised by 6 of them. And my baby Sham, who is almost 3 months old, has just as many grandparents. And until this week, he had 3 great-grandparents as well. I'm deeply grateful to this man for the beautiful and honorable life that he built with Antima and a China product. The house on Headley Drive where he raised my Antima, where Akash and I spent many summers, is one of the places that I think I would feel safest and most at home in the world if I could go there now. I think of its soft carpeted stairs and the sense of sandalwood silk and mothballs. There was a little black and white television upstairs and a friendly Pakistani British girl our age next door. And in the kitchen there was rice and yogurt and cured potatoes and idlis and roti and tomato chutney and digestive biscuits. And our days there were scheduled by Dada. The morning always began with writing a diary entry, just as he had done for many decades every day. And then we were assigned puzzles that he had cut out from the newspaper. The crossword, the Sudoku, and my favorite, the jumble. And while these tasks were objectively speaking fun and games, somehow due to his stern and uncompromising style, he managed to persuade us that we were busy with important, demanding work, and we loved and hated it. When I was 4 or 5, I thought I taught me how to play chess. When I was about 7, he spent the summer with us in Brooklyn and decided that would be the summer that I learned algebra. He bought a workbook and taught me from scratch years before the subject came up in school. He and Antima also devoted themselves to telling us stories. Anima's forte was Indian mythology, told in a format quiz. How many children did King Mehta have? How many wives? What were the names of his wives? And then those stories, during which one of us was usually required to sit above his shoulders and catch or massage his head, were often retells of Hollywood movies from his youth, like The Lost Horizon of Shangri-La, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, or our favorite Stan and Ollie stories. And Stan and Ollie, you may not know, are the first names of Laurel and Hardy. And sometimes the stories were long recollections of his professional life, his 9 siblings, his travels across India as a young engineer in the 1950s. And these stories meandered with the unpredictable stream of his memories. Through them, we were given access to and familiarity with a vanished world. And we often heard about Doobal, his nephew, whom he thought of as a son before he himself became a father. In the days since his death, we heard from Doobal himself and other family members about how he gave other young people in his family the same loving care and attention that he gave us before he and Antima left India and long before we came along. A week ago, as Satya began to slip from consciousness, Isabel and I brought Sean home to meet him. Sean was just beginning to recognize faces. The day before Tata was taken to the hospital building in which Sean was born, he could still do this too, and he locked eyes with the baby, and they both seemed to smile at each other. One of them was at the end of a long journey, the other was just beginning.
I went to London with Sunita in 2012 to help him sell off almost everything that he owned. We packed the very few remaining things in just a couple of boxes and took it all and my mother-in-law back home to work with us. It was a journey of complete trust on both of our parts. I don't think there was any hesitation, however, for any of us. Before this move, my in-laws were always very nice to me. There's an expression that they used to say in Telugu repeatedly to the effect that the son-in-law is gone. It's a very nice expression, and it made me feel very powerful. But I remember after about 3 months at home, my father-in-law finally erupted one day with tremendous anger at me over something that seemed surprisingly puny. And I remember feeling at that moment like I was a bona fide member of their family. Son-in-law is God, as in everything is God, even stupid son-in-laws. For 13 years, I lived and I took care of my father. I watched him as he barely diminished in scope, but he also concentrated in sweetness. I would give him haircuts, and he'd give me chocolate. I would fix his shaver or program his TV, and he'd give me a bowl of apples. I would get him a cheesecake, and he'd tell my mother-in-law to give me a check for $100. We had a whole complex economy going on, and it wasn't always financially balanced. At the very end of his life, a few days ago, there was literally nothing I could do for him. On his last day home, he wasn't really responding to anything. He wasn't able to speak or recognize what was going on about him. Not knowing how to help him, I stooped down before him and I touched his feet in the traditional Hindu way of showing respect. I heard Sumi gasp at that moment, because his hands rose up and he placed them on my head in the traditional blessing. It was astonishing that almost everything about him was lost, but this simple act of blessing remained active. Dad, thank you for letting me take care of you for 13 years.
Thank you for making such a wonderful daughter that is my wife. I still feel your hands on my head, and I hope that you feel my hands upon your feet.
When I was a baby, a couple would come once a week to massage everyone in our family. The man would massage all the men and boys, and the women, all the women and girls. My dad would stand over the woman as she massaged me, making sure the water wasn't too hot. He would stay awake because he was worried my mom would roll over in her sleep and smother me. And his mom apparently said to him, "You are the only man to ever have had a baby." I was his only child, and I came 16 years after my parents got married. This meant they had an unusually jet-set life as a couple. His various jobs as a civil engineer stationed him in many towns and cities across India, and my mom got to go with because she was unencumbered, and I think the other women in the family were quite jealous. They had hard times though. My dad's career was unstable, money was tight, and then my mom contracted TB. My dad gave up his job and stayed home with her, nursing her back to health. They made a pilgrimage to Rameshwaram, where they prayed for mom's health and a child. And the way they understand it, Lord Ram granted both wishes. Mom's TB was cured, and I was born. Now a father, Dad was determined to build some security for his family. His prospects in India were slim, so he applied for immigration to both the United States and the United Kingdom. We moved to the UK simply because the Brits were the first to respond. We built a life in London. We first lived in Stratford and then Anston. Mom and Dad both worked hard. Dad as a civil engineer working for the City of London, mostly on roads and highways. They saved money for their future and mine and built a close community of friends. In fact, a gift in my life from those very early days and months in London is my oldest and best friend, Timmy. We've known each other since we were little babies when our parents lived in the same house in Stratford, brand new immigrants. Timmy and her parents in one room, me and my parents in one room. When I was 5, my parents decided to send me to India for several years, and I lived there with my mama, my mom's older sister. During those years, my dad, ever the romantic, would send me long letters on cassette tape, and I would send back letters on tape as well. I would go home to London during the summers, and Dad would make sure he devoted himself to me during all the non-work hours. We'd read books together, looking up and writing down the meanings of words I didn't know. Not afterwards, but while we were reading. We'd do maths, puzzles, go on lovely museum trips and other excursions, usually taking Timmy with us as well. So many people in our extended family and kids in our friends groups, and my own kids too, have memories of Dad playing games, doing puzzles. My dad loved kids and put an inordinate amount of time and effort into activities with all the kids around him. I know the time he put into raising me and the many, many stories my cousins are sharing in our family WhatsApp about all the fun things they did with him. Vacations, glider aircraft I remember when Dad came home from work, I'd make a beeline for his briefcase. There would be half of whatever treat he had enjoyed during the day. Half a chocolate bar, half a bag of crisps. He'd eat half and say, "How for me." And the last 13 or so years that Dad lived with us in New York, all our friends, many of you know that Dad, he had increasingly diminished cognitively, but he came up several times a day to distribute small pieces of chocolate, cookies, candies, squares of chocolate. Dad went to Rishikari school in Andhra Pradesh as a very young boy, maybe age 5, a school founded by the philosopher Krishnamurti. He spoke to me throughout my childhood about his upbringing there. He would have to wake up very early before sunrise and take a cold bucket bath. He had classes for only half the day, and then he was free to wander in the countryside, climbing hills and trees. Dad taught me 2 massive lessons, 2 things. 1, to know myself fully and be myself fully without expecting anyone else to follow or agree. And 2, to be content with who I am and what I have. He credited these teachings to the Rishi Valley School, and I looked it up. And Krishnamurti did say, if you are not living as yourself, then whose life are you truly living? I have tried to teach these same things to my 3 boys and my 2 girls, and any other youngsters I have had influence over. And I will teach these things to baby Sean. When I was a teenager, Dad and Mom decided that it was financially wise for Dad to work in Saudi Arabia for a few years. There was an opportunity for a civil engineer to oversee the construction of the Riyadh train station. I remember Dad called a family meeting and asked me my opinion about this. I think I was 15 or 14 years old. And then he asked if I wanted to live in Saudi Arabia for the years he worked there, or if I preferred to stay in London and for him to make frequent home trips. I felt I was given respect, that my view counted. My views also counted in the round of my romantic life. I had boyfriends as a teenager, and never, just like my friends, I never had to keep them secret from my parents. And Mom, that was not because of you. That was because of Dad. Dad trusted me. And it wasn't that he agreed with or appreciated my choices. He just never stood in my way. And when I fell in love at the age 18 with a stranger I met on an airplane, Dad allayed Mom's worries that this man might be a human trafficker. I distinctly remember Dad saying to Mom, "My daughter is sensible." When I divorced, Dad told me, "If we have 1 chapati, we split it 3 ways. Come home." And when I married the love of my life, Dad embraced him as his son. No holds barred. It's beginning to hit me, the fact that my dad is no longer with me. No more squares of chocolate. No more quizzical looks at baby Sean. Dad knew who baby Sean was, but he always seemed to be looking for his beloved younger brother Sean when he looked at the baby. Dad told stories of the past but lived in the present. In recent years, his mind and memory were failing him, and his life contracted. But the place he landed was one of complete contentment. It was his 95th birthday on February 5th, and even though he felt too weak to go out into the snow, I persuaded him, and we all went to the Flushing Ganesh Mandir, and the priest performed a Kanakabhishekam, which is basically a big puja. course, we all miss him, the oldest member of my entire extended family. Extended family on both sides, which is one side because my parents are first cousins. I think the best way for all of us who loved him to remember him is by living our lives with the courage to be ourselves, never needing anybody to agree with us or follow us, and always being grateful and content for the blessings in our lives. And whenever we get the chance to give out little slices of apple, cookies, squares, and chocolate. Satya.
We just want to thank everyone for so much. Nothing but love. For a small group to see the connection and hanging out since you're in person. Wonderful if you join us at the Sunset Fire.
Thank you to everybody from England, India, Australia joining our live stream. It really means the world when everyone came out for Dad. Thank you.
We're here this morning to say farewell to the great lady, Viswanath. I was not privileged to get this honorable person. But went to the message to the pages of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Sri Krishna is explained to Arjuna about who I is. Sometimes you go to myself like I have this, I have that, I have this, I have that. But who is I? And Lord Sri Krishna is explained to Arjuna in this verse. Nainam Chidanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Bhavaka, Rajainam Ple Vayantiapo, Marsho Shariti Mahavita. Lord Shri Krishna said here, Arjuna, that I can talk about this presence of every living entities, animate or inanimate, by particular every single being possesses the I. But who is this I that we refer to? And he starts to describe that I is that which no fire can burn, no water can quench, no weapon can cut, no wind can blow. It is not material, it is not matter, but it is highly spiritual. It is a part of the divine being itself. When this I enters into the embryo of the fetus in him, as long as the I remains on the body is said to be alive. Many have gone in the past, many are going in the present, and many will continue to go. Similarly, many will continue to come. The world in which we live is a cycle of birth and death, until finally we achieve what is called moksha. So we pray and ask God to bless his soul in moksha, so that he grows and becomes one with God, and is not subject to the cycles of birth and death anymore. Pray with me, please. Om Nadi Vishnu Shangra Chakra
Also, everyone, just to know, we book a special